Welcome everybody to this week's community call. It only gets better. Community calls are becoming, NIM community calls are becoming ever more prestigious every single time. This time is no exception. I am Sudo, one of your hosts. The other host that we have on today is Hux. I couldn't get rid of him for this call. Say hi to the people, Hux.
Hey guys, nice to be back. How's it going?
And our special guest today, as you know, is Barron from Aleo Wallet. How's it going, Barron?
Great. Excited to be here.
It is awesome to have you on. Can't wait to chat with you a little bit about privacy preserving wallets, NZK, and all of that good stuff. But as usual, before we get into that, first of all, guys, feel free to leave your questions in the chat. Or if you want to preserve your privacy, you can also use the NIM Matrix server for questions. We're going to be taking a close look there and answering them as they come. We're also going to go through the quick news roundup that we have. This time it will be really, really quick because after our conversation with Barron, we will also present you a big update on NSL because as you know, NSL Season 1 has launched. We wrapped up Season 0, which was the preliminary season of the program. So we have a whole bunch of news to bring you. All right. With all of that said, let me find my news here. Yes, so a quick shout out to our new YouTube video that we uploaded, which is about protecting privacy and human rights online. A link to it will be shared in the chat. Make sure to check it out. It's a short but interesting video as usual. And then maybe this one should be addressed by you, Hux, since you were there. Go ahead.
Yeah, so last weekend with other head of BD at NIM and Cerinko Devra, we've been at ETH Amsterdam, which is a privacy-focused Ethereum event in Amsterdam, held every year. It has been lots of fun. We had a lot of good presentations, both from Cerinko and other, and a ton of discussions with other privacy enthusiasts on how we're gonna make the global mission of privacy, making privacy normal for everyone, come alive this year. So yeah, and we're gonna be at other events too. So keep your eyes, peeled. Maybe you can catch us at ETH Berlin too, and MoneroCon too, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, if you wanna hang and say hi, don't be shy. Just come over and chat us up.
Excellent. I'm a bit jelly that you guys were all there and I wasn't, but
anyways,
maybe next time.
I invited you personally.
I know. It just didn't want to happen this time around.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next news item, we are postponing the bi-weekly quiz on Discord. You will understand this by the end of this call. With the launch of Season 1 of NSL, we're making some changes in how you can participate in NIM community events. So the quiz will happen not this week, today, but next week instead. Also, these ones, the next ones are going to be very quick because I'm going to be going over all of this stuff in a lot of detail shortly. But a new blog post is out about Season 0. So if you want to see what the NIM community has been up to and the successes that we achieved during NSL Season 0, then you can check it out. Next up is the NIM Squad Wealth Fund, which has been announced. A lot of you already know about the Squad Wealth Fund in one way or another. I'm also going to be going over the Squad Wealth Fund in much more detail today. But if you want to read about what the Squad Wealth Fund is about, how you can get a share of it, and how NIM is aiming to support the community in bringing our vision together to this world, then read the blog post as well. And actually, that was our news roundup. I think that was the quickest news roundup ever on an NIM community call. This was only 4 minutes, so we really made it happen, guys.
Yeah, I'm not sure if did we ever make an announcement of maybe a new website that we released, or is not time yet? Sudo, do you know about that?
Not sure if we announced it, but okay. I mean, we might as well. It's not a website; it's just a page. It's the community page of the NIM website is finally done. So a link to it will be shared in the chat. Make sure to check it out, guys. You can find information about NSL and just the community in general, our channels, and all of that good stuff. And it will be updated later to contain even more information.
And if you have any feedback or suggestions, feel free to reach out. It's being constantly kind of updated and expanded with new, cool, exciting stuff. Let us know what you think. Yeah, let's make it a cool homepage for all of us.
All right. And with that said, yeah, we made it a bit longer. Now it's 5 minutes. I think we already did it before in 5 minutes, so it's not a record anymore. But anyways, Fox, you messed it up once again.
Sorry.
Moving on to our conversation with Barron. It is excellent to have you on, sir, and thanks for making it so early. I realize that it's pretty early where you're based. First of all, as a warm up, can you please briefly introduce yourself and maybe also share how you ended up in the crypto privacy space?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm the co-founder, CEO of Demox Labs. We're the team behind a number of products in the privacy space, as focused on ZK, primarily the Aleo wallet. I've spent a decade building in operations and product and growth at a number of Web2 companies. I started a company with my co-founder a couple of years ago, and we actually weren't looking at privacy at first. We were building something else in the crypto space, and we realized that we didn't really think it mattered as much. The more we looked into crypto and the system that was supposed to replace traditional finance, we realized it was significantly worse on the public dimension, and it was actually far more dystopian to share all of this public information about your transactions, as opposed to the traditional finance system where you're not sharing information with everyone that you interact with on an ongoing basis about all your net assets, every transaction you're a part of. So my co-founder gave a great talk in Denver about building the dystopia and how we're leaning into this global disruption, but that's significantly worse for a lot of people. And we just philosophically believe that payments are personal and should be private, and all of your assets, you should have the right to conceal them, and you have full control over them. And we saw a big potential with zero knowledge proofs as finally being able to unlock that technology longer term, and that functionality. And that's what we've been building and focusing on.
Nice. Thanks so much for that answer. So
Yeah.
zero knowledge is it's a novel cryptographic concept, but also kind of like a theoretical concept. So we established that none of us are super technical people here, but could you try and explain to us also, and also to our audience, what zero knowledge is, with your words, or how do you explain it to people when they ask what zero knowledge is?
The way I try to simplify zero knowledge is explaining something is true without having to reveal the underlying information. And the classic example that's given is for Where's Waldo. Like, I can show you a picture of Waldo. Where's Waldo is like a children's book that most people are familiar with, or many people. Where you're looking for a specific piece of information hidden in like a large myriad of visual data. And you can prove that one small piece is true by showing like a snapshot of where Waldo is without like running over and pointing with the full visual image of where he is. That's one example. Another example that I like that may be simpler is showing someone the back of a completed puzzle. Like, you can complete that puzzle, but you don't have all the visual information for where each piece goes. And then you break up the puzzle and you're like, look, I can complete that puzzle, and that puzzle can be completed because you've seen it complete. So that's like an easier to understand, I guess, like version of it. But these are mathematical proofs that equate that something is true to a very, very, very high degree of certainty, where you don't actually have to know the underlying information. And ZK has been used a lot. Sorry, I'll stop there. Does that make sense? Do you want me to give more examples?
Absolutely. I think those were super. Yeah.
If you do have more examples, please give them, because I'm sure you can relate as a non-technical person. Whenever you find yourself in the company of very technical people talking about ZK, it's very hard not to feel like a total idiot, because it's very complex. It's a very complex, mathematical topic, right? So if you have more examples, please do share.
Yeah. An example of like the proof and how it works, and how you can be certain something is true without actually saying like how it works. Another example is like someone has a ball in one hand behind their back, and they don't switch it behind, but if someone is able to guess 100 times in a row correctly which hand the ball is in, then they understand something to be true about that situation without everyone seeing the visual information around where the ball actually is. So at some point through like proving something, you can get certainty around it without actually just seeing the information publicly.
Nice one. Thank you so much. Would you mind sharing a little bit about maybe about Demox and your future plans, and kind of, apart from what you're doing for Aleo, is there any?
Yeah, I mean, we think crypto is so powerful so far. It's such a new industry, but there are these really strong ideas, like the decentralization and permissionless of building and capital, and it's unlocked a lot in the financial sphere by being fully available and decentralized and all of these things. And we haven't fully seen that captured and built on with privacy. So our big thing is programmable privacy, because there are these privacy coins that have existed for a long time, Zcash, Monero, and they're used for more single asset transactions, but they're volatile currency. We see having DeFi and zero knowledge, we call it ZFi, being incredibly powerful, because you can have all of the same really powerful primitives that have been in applications that are being built in all of crypto, but applying that privacy layer to give consumers and enterprises more protections.
All right, I think it's time for me to ask one of the community questions that we got from Rocio. Thanks for the question, Rocio. This one is from Element, so I can't show it on screen, but I think it's relevant here. So, how do zero knowledge proofs allow us to comply with legal regulations without sacrificing personal privacy? So, what's the compliance angle of a privacy preserving wallet?
Yeah, that's a fun question, because a lot of traditional compliance and regulation within the financial sphere is very reactive and happened like way after the fact of a transaction. And we can talk about like the Bank Secrecy Act and like the US and the reporting requirements. It's what I'm more familiar with. I'm based in California. And it is hugely inefficient. It is a massive overhead for organizations, and it catches a fraction of crime and fraud for the amount that we invest in all of this regulatory overhead. And it's seen as actually incredibly ineffective, because organizations self-report information on a regular cadence, and then government bodies like sift through all of this to try to find anomalies in the data or inconsistencies. Zero knowledge allows you to actually have more regulation at the point of a transaction. So what does that mean? I, as a US person, can put my passport through a decentralized identity provider, verified, and get like a badge that proves that I'm a US person without having to publish that information on chain. And then you can have a ZFi protocol or a DEX that only allows US persons or say credit investors to participate. And they can check that to see whether you have this special NFT or some type of credential at the transaction point, as opposed to later down the road. So there is a case where it's actually a lot more proactive, and you can do regulation in real time. Now, I don't think that's exactly the driver of the question. I think it's more like, hey, can't people like hide all of their private information and use it for more nebulous cases? And that's true of a lot of technologies. I think the traditional banking sector is far guiltier of this than any crypto project. And that's something that's not oft talked about. In the US, there's like a battle for this like small amount of funding that has gone for terrorist organizations that has been connected to crypto. but it is like significantly dwarfed. I think 95 or 98% of it comes from traditional banking. And that's a problem that you just have to focus on a lot. Aleo is a US company. The foundation is a US DAO, and they're focusing heavily on being compliant and regulation and trying to make sure that they manage all of the on and off ramps and bridges and make sure that they can ensure as much as possible that there are no illicit funds being brought on chain and being washed or used for poor purposes.
Is it a Wyoming LLC maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. It's good to hear that there are big proper use cases of that novel legislation.
No, exactly. Yeah, they want to be very visible and accessible to the U.S. government and try to be as compliant as they can. The jury's still out. We haven't seen; they're not live yet. We'll see what happens.
As a bit of a sidetrack, guys, can you explain the Wyoming LLC situation for those who may not be aware?
I myself am not fully familiar with it, but Wyoming wants to be in the U.S. For DAOs what Delaware is for C Corp. Sorry, traditionally has been for C Corps, where you just make it very easy to incorporate and allow clear visibility around the rules, which makes it easy to operate. Delaware actually is coming under huge fire for negating a giant multi-billion-dollar payment package for Elon Musk that was agreed to by shareholders, and that case is ongoing. So Delaware is now seen maybe as not so friendly. But anyways, that's the intention. Wyoming wants to be as DAO forward as possible and really welcome it because they see it as such a disruptive new governance structure, and they want to welcome innovation.
What I can add to this is I think that the cultural historical background of why Wyoming is the state, like it's quite.
Oh, that I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really familiar with U.S. states and their culture, but what I know from Wyoming, it is quite a agricultural, focused, like sort of rural living culture state. And what I've heard a story, not sure if it's true, but what I was told is that basically a lot of farmers who have cattle, like cows, basically they had enough of sort of being that they had to sell the cows to sort of processors and like middlemen, and sort of not making enough profit on doing all the work on the farms with the animals. So they kind of really wanted to self-sovereign way govern their own businesses and cut the middlemen. And I think culturally that's kind of what sprouted the legislative movement that ended up being a very simple process where anyone can basically incorporate a LLC that's owned by a DAO, and it's quite cheap and it's quite a flexible online process. I do think that you need to have someone on the ground there, to as regular in these cases, but it's quite a novel thing and it's really exciting, and hopefully we're gonna see it flourish and work and maybe a way to actually comply with US regulations in a decentralized way.
No, that's awesome. I actually didn't know that. It's great.
All right. So we had a bunch of questions about Leo. So I just want to ask you about the product.
Oh yeah,
you're building. Why is Leo the name? I kind of have a guess, but maybe you wanna answer that question too.
How did we pick Leo the name? I think it has strong feline and lion tie-ins, and a lot of people at our company, like my co-founder included, love cats. So I wish there was a really good answer.
That's a really good answer.
But we wanted a short, simple name, and it had like a strong feline feel to it.
So yeah,
I guess I can talk a little bit about how Leo actually works, though. That
please do. Yes.
So Leo is not an EVM wallet. It is not compatible with any of the blockchains that are live today. It's actually working. I mentioned programmable privacy. We're working on this new paradigm of blockchain where you generate a zero knowledge proof locally on your machine, or we do have a product where you like create part of it, delegate part of it to a more powerful machine, and then you finish the transaction locally. And then the whole chain is a series of zero knowledge proofs. So there's a few companies who are working on this. The most visible right now and closest to launch is Aleo, aleo.org. They have raised a few $100 million from Andreessen Horowitz, Tiger Global, SoftBank, Han Ventures, like Polychain, a bunch of great investors. They're launching this year. They're launching soon. And they are the first to come to market with this new paradigm of a chain built off of ZK generated locally. People may be familiar with Aztec. Aztec used to have a product called Aztec Connect, where it's like single integrations rolled in ZK. And they also are moving to this general programmability platform. Aleo is a layer 1, Aztec is a layer 2. There's other companies that are building this as a layer 3. But the whole paradigm shift is that you locally, as an individual, are owning all of your data on your device. And you create a proof. I saw a question pop up somewhere about hardware. Yeah, it's intensive to actually like generate one of these mathematical proofs. And on very performant devices, it can be really fast. And on worse hardware, sometimes phones, like older versions of phones, it's slow. So we have a product where you can like delegate part of the proof generation to a more powerful machine while still preserving full, not full anonymity, because you share with us part of the transaction, like our private machine. We call it confidential, not private, because we know, but you're not publishing that information publicly. But it's a new paradigm where like so much power is being put onto the individual. Because of that, however, it's really slow compared to like Solana or a different wallet where people just like sign a transaction. The wallet actually is not just a signing mechanism. It is responsible for looking at the whole chain, decrypting it locally on your machine. So you have to sync to the chain, which is time intensive and is something that people don't really always understand. It's like a lot harder to sync with it than a regular chain where you can just look at all the public information. So you sync it, you have to create proofs locally and then publish them. So the wallet helps facilitate all of those things. Aleo is, as I mentioned, is launching soon. And we built a lot of infrastructure to help make that as performant as possible. But it's still slower than most chains. Like privacy isn't free, as we all know. It's hard to actually make it work. We're trying to do it as seamlessly as possible. But when you optimize for privacy, it's not as fast as some of the fastest blockchains out there. And we're okay with that. We think for financial transactions that are really important, it's better to be private and secure than to be fast and just like throw the information out there publicly.
There was a question from John on our community channel that maybe you answered it partially here. Just want to maybe read it out again to see if, or maybe I didn't catch the answer. So John is saying that speed is an issue here. So will Leo work slower on old PCs? Or
oh yes. So there is a spectrum, like on new fast Apple top of the line spec laptops or like new PCs. It'll be a lot faster. But on old PCs, it will still work. It may take a very long time to generate a proof. However, we've created this product called proof delegation, where you delegate part of the proof creation and it will work on any machine. And it takes like a few seconds as opposed to could take a few minutes to generate a proof on your own hardware. So it will work on any device, but at times it'll be confidential, not fully private.
So you do sacrifice some privacy if you delegate proof generation to a more powerful machine.
To us, you have to trust us as a company. And I saw a question about the other question. Leo's not open source. We're not open source yet. That's something that we're considering. We've open sourced part of our tech stack, but we haven't fully open sourced everything. We're planning to. It's just a question of timing. We've seen people, when we open source parts of our code, people just kind of like copied and pasted like logo, and like spun up their own wallet. And the technology is evolving so quickly that we've caught bugs from like versions we made over a year ago that still exist in other places. So we want to do it responsibly. That's definitely our intent. What information are you collecting from user devices? So we let people opt into analytics. And we make it very clear upon sign up, you can opt out and we don't track anything. But if you do opt in, we pull information like, IP address, open source or operating system, tech specs. Like we use Segment for analytics, which is like a popular analytics provider. If you opt in, and we anonymize it, we don't know anything. We don't capture any email or personal data besides that. So it's all anonymized. But we try to do it. I come from a world, I ran product and marketing at a company that did over 100 million in revenue. And I know the power of learning from your users and taking customer feedback and customer data and making smart decisions based off of that. And in order to do that, you have to know something about how people are acting and behaving. I don't need to know who they are or where they live. And I don't want to, but you have to know general trends. Like, is your product breaking somewhere and people just aren't telling you? Are people visiting one page so often and you don't know why, and you have to optimize the product around that to make it a better experience, and you wouldn't have known that otherwise. So I think to be informed and make great products, you have to know how people are using them. But you need to know about those people. And we only want to do that for people that are very clear about sharing information with us so we can make smarter, more informed decisions. And I've seen incredible success with doing that in the past. And I plan to keep doing that forever, because it just leads to such a better experience for everyone.
Yeah, there's kind of a trade-off between privacy and user experience. That's a really hard gap to bridge. And but I have to confirm what you're saying, because I've downloaded the Leo wallet and onboarded, and you do make it really clear. So if anyone wants to opt out, you can opt out from analytics, and it's really not like a dark design pattern where it's hidden in the corner somewhere, but you can actually easily click the button, and you can also adjust in the settings, right? So you can go back and
people opt out, and that's really important to us. I mean, we're working in the privacy space, so building trust with our users and community is so important, as everyone here knows.
You also mentioned that I have a question around, so how different it is, let's say, comparing developing a EVM compatible privacy preserving wallet compared to a wallet being developed on a ZK chain. So how different the development exercise is for Leo and for a regular EVM wallet?
It's incredibly different, I'd say. So none of the design patterns are like fully fleshed out and available in this new paradigm. And I'm saying new paradigm because none of the chains that I'm talking about are even live yet. There's a bunch that are in development, but it's a hard new technology to do zero knowledge, decentralized, and a whole chain full of zero knowledge proofs. You hear the term ZK rollup a lot, and that's a totally different application of zero knowledge, where it's being used to summarize a bunch of transactions into one small piece of information and publishing that on Ethereum. It's not hundreds of thousands or millions of proofs being published on chain and all being encrypted. So it's a different version. Sorry, say the question one more time. I got too excited talking.
No,
Right. Oh yeah. So like, at what layer do you have privacy?
Yeah.
It's a huge question, and there's many different approaches to it, I would say. So the big question is like, do you go to where all the liquidity is on an EVM chain? And maybe this isn't exactly what you're asking. This is more the business thing, but do you want to go to where people already are and layer on privacy, or do you want to have privacy by default and it's just part of the system and everything has it as a consideration? So we made the decision to do like private by default, but in the EVM world, if you're building a wallet, there's like easy APIs that you can make for RPCs and like public information that you can pull. And you can make a wallet in an afternoon by using all of the public, as a new developer, by just using all of the publicly available APIs and services that are there to read from the chain. And then the wallet basically acts as a signing mechanism. In this new paradigm where it's private by default and you have to consider how privacy plays into every single transaction in interaction with a dApp, what permissions you're giving on a case-by-case basis, we had to rebuild everything from the ground up. We had to build our own wallet adapter to work with the chain. And we now have the most popular wallet adapter on Aleo that's used by, I think, every wallet in the ecosystem. And we're not the only wallet. I think there's 6 or 7 others so far. But because you have to actually interact and add privacy and choose between private or public for different parts of the transaction, there's just so much more complexity that's added there that's not encompassed in EVM. So EVM normally, like, you wrap something and then you do a transaction, or you like do a transaction that's like grouped together with a bunch of other transactions to increase the anonymity set. Whereas Aleo, just, it's always on, or these new proving chains, it's like always on. And that's something you constantly have to think about.
Nice. Thank you so much for that exhaustive answer. So can I? There's a community question here in the chat from Dennis. It's kind of, he's asking: is there a mechanism that can block a wallet if you understand that there's a scammer underneath?
Yeah, like a classic blacklist type situation. Definitely. I mean, the chain's so new, right? But like, yes, yeah, they're similar to how Phantom or MetaMask would work, where they like show if they think it's a nebulous address, or like there's illicit funds. You can warn people about doing it. I think if the question is like, can we, if someone is a scammer, can we like stop their funds? Not at all. It is a total non-custodial product. We have no control over your transactions. We never have control of your funds. It is a choose your own adventure, your keys type of product. So we don't have any control. Can we show information if someone's interacting with something else that we think is bad? Yes, but we can't block them.
Thank you. All right. So we discussed that novel ZK blockchain, Aleo, a very specific or a very novel solution that you're developing a wallet for it. So with all these privacy in place, I'm just wondering, why does it make sense to, or would it make sense to think about, a mixed integration, for example? Like how would that add privacy to this tech if someone using Aleo and Leo? Would a mixnet make sense under it?
Yeah, we're trying to think about like at what levels can we be as private as possible. I mentioned before that we want as much user data as possible, but people may not be comfortable with traditional tools like Segment or getting user data. Like people may want to anonymize that through something like a mixnet, so that all of the data coming to our centralized product analytics, although it's anonymized, they also may want it to be mixed. We're not as worried about like private identifiable information for users, and we don't ask for any. But the more that it could be disrupted and privatized, the better. So we're constantly looking at all bleeding edge privacy technologies and how we can incorporate them into our tech stack, because that's what's really important to us at the end of the day. We even look at things like FHE, fully homomorphic encryption, which we think is like still further on the horizon, but is still really important.
Nice. Thank you. There's another question here. Rossi was asking that what can a developer do with Leo or Aleo? Maybe can you try and answer that?
Yeah, I mean, right now the wallet is not fully open source. However, our wallet adapter is open source, and we have open source code and examples for. We've built battleship games. We've built coin flip, like a casino game of chance games, like a coin flip. We have built a NFT minting platform called Art Factory that allows anyone to build and ship and mint their own NFT project. We built a number. If you go to our GitHub, we have a number of examples for people to look at and make their own, and that can easily interact with the Leo wallet. We are planning on open sourcing more and more the wallet itself and like other components of it to make it easy for people to develop new and interesting things on top of that. Over time, it's just not there yet, but we have plenty of open source projects and products that we want people to tool around with.
There's another question from Alex in the chat, and I want to chime in. So he's asking that will using Aleo/Leo hide my wallet info balance addresses etc. Is it similar to a mixer in any way?
Yeah, it's similar in concept. Yeah, I mean, in Aleo, there's a concept of a public and a private balance. And if you move it to private, no one knows that you own those assets. So yeah, you can send yourself stuff private from public to private and back to public, and you could set it to a new address. You could say that's like a mixer. The big difference in ZK is that there's this concept of a third key called a view key. So you have your public key, your private key, public address, private key, and a view key. And for every transaction, you can share this view key to prove what happened in that transaction. Just in that transaction, not all of the other history and state, but just a single transaction. So if necessary, for regulation, or if you're sending to a centralized exchange and they want to know like where the funds originated from, you're reporting on taxes or something like that, you can share individual transaction information without needing to divulge everything.
So this is a feature that basically makes it possible to be compliant with any authorities,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I should have talked about that more when we were talking about compliance. But
we got here. No worries.
Yeah, it definitely can help in those situations, so that you don't have to be all or nothing. Share your entire wallet history based on one transaction. If you share an NFT that you bought on OpenSea, someone can see every transaction you've ever been a part of and all your friends, and similar collections that you like and people who behave similar to you, all that kind of stuff. This prevents all of that.
I've seen a question, I don't see it now, but kind of the question was, from Alex too, what demographics are you seeing the most interest from currently? So where your current users or community is based?
It's incredibly global. Our community, a lot of it is in North America. A lot of it is in Eastern Europe. A lot of it is in Asia and Southeast Asia. I'd say we're all over the map. The areas where we haven't seen as much uptick as some other crypto communities, I'd say Africa hasn't been as predominant, but we haven't done a lot to us personally, we have not done a lot of marketing. It's been word of mouth. So we've seen the areas that tend towards privacy are usually nations where people don't feel comfortable sharing public information about their assets. And because it's not a live chain yet, we haven't seen how much it will actually be used out in the wild, but those are the areas that so far have shown that they really want to use this tech. But I'm excited to see where it gets adopted once it's out there in the wild. And as I mentioned, Aleo is coming online this year. I think they're targeting Q3. So hopefully in the next several months, the Leo wallet currently has like 260,000 weekly active users. And we hope that to continue to grow.
Thanks a lot for all the thorough answers for all our community questions, Barron. Guys, do you have any other questions for Barron while we have him with us?
I do.
Oh, you do. Nice.
Yeah, sorry guys for going off screen for a sec. I had to take care of something. Now, my question to you, Barron, is, Leo covers one part of the privacy stack, right? Transactional privacy, which is very, very important. And like you said, the point that I like to often make, it's kind of absurd to, like, when you think about a financial product, right? Like a credit card or something. It's kind of absurd if you pitch a credit card to me, which involves everybody who transacts with me in any way, seeing all my transaction history and like basically from the genesis. So transactional privacy is incredibly important, but of course, that's just part of it. So there are other parts of the stack. I'm hinting at something here. So how do you see other privacy enhancing or preserving technologies maybe fit into this privacy stack when it comes to Leo? How could they make each other stronger?
Just for full disclosure, I did ask this question, but in a very bad way, so I don't mind. I mean, unless Barron, you mind answering again, but I think I asked the question and you gave a good answer for me, Sudo, when you were gone.
Oh, damn it! Sorry, boys. If there's anything to add, then please feel free to do that.
I don't know. I'm open to ideas. How should we best incorporate it?
Well, I mean, for anything that happens over a network, right? Something like the NIM mixnet can provide, besides the transactional privacy that you already get from the Leo wallet, you can also get network level privacy for to hide the fact, both data wise and metadata wise, that I'm even interacting with this wallet or I'm doing anything with this blockchain, right? So maybe there is a possible crossplay or a possible place for integration there.
Yeah, it's kind of what mixnets first and foremost do is provide metadata protection. So it's not the exact encrypted data, because that's application level privacy or transaction level privacy with ZK. It's more about the surrounding data crumbles that kind of make up the map for the treasure. So here the treasure is hidden, but here the map is kind of when I interact with maybe Leo wallet or the Aleo chain through my internet service provider, is kind of readable for any adversary that wants to read it. So mixed integration can potentially provide sort of a full stack personal transaction privacy if you look at it from a personal use case angle. So if I want real privacy with my complete transaction, not giving any hints that I'm using even a ZK chain or a ZK chain wallet, then that's definitely a good use case for it, I would say.
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I wonder if there's also, I mean, we're going to be running a validator, but there's going to be a number of validators on the chain, whether it makes sense to integrate at that kind of level as well.
Also a very good use case. Yes, thanks for mentioning that. Absolutely. Same reason, basically. Yeah. With that, I think there's nothing more than to thank you so much, Barron, for your time early in your morning to spending this 45 minutes with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.
Absolute pleasure on our side too. Thanks again. And let's keep in touch. Maybe we talk a bit more about the integrations. Let's see what the future holds.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have you back on one of these calls at some point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Nice
All right.
one.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a fantastic day. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Baron. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
But dear listeners, dear community, don't go anywhere, because I think we have some surprise in store for you still in this last 15 minutes.
Exactly. It's not that much of a surprise. It's not that much of a surprise. I spoiled it at various different times. Not just the pull-up, Rocio. Don't get ahead of yourself. We have a whole proper presentation.
But can I tell a surprise? Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
The surprise is it's Sudo's birthday, guys. So let's give a round of applause. Through my hands, like happy birthday to you. Happy. How are you feeling on your birthday, Sudo?
Well, I'm getting older, so I am feeling older. So actually no, it's a very nice day. It's it's a nice day. Now you put me on the spot like that, Hux, and I'm blushing a little bit.
But I'm blushing too. Why?
I don't know.
All right, that's weird.
All right. To cut that uncomfortable situation,
let's get into the presentation.
Talk about NSL, because and I will also share my screen. Just one moment, please.
Yeah, many people are saying happy birthday in the chat. Can we put some on the screen just to ease the mood? Is it easing the mood?
Yeah.
Nice one.
All right, thank you guys. It means the world. This is the best birthday I've ever had. Spending it together with the NIM community, and maybe this is this presentation is my birthday gift to myself and also to you guys. So, like you already know, we wrapped up with quarter 1, which ended with March. We wrapped up season 0 of NIM Squad League, which is this big thing that we've been working on, which is a framework for community contributions. All of you know this, especially people who attend these calls. But let's go through what happens next. So the new season of NSL will be called The Gathering, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. But before that, we also announced something that you guys already know about. You already heard me talk about it here and there, but now it's been officially announced, and also the mechanisms have been explained. So let's go through the Squad Wealth Fund. This will be very important for the NIM community going forward. So let's talk about what it is, how it works, and how it supports the NIM community in achieving its objectives. So the very basic summary of the Squad Wealth Fund is that, as you know, there is the NIM Delegations Program, in which the NIM Treasury delegates a large amount of NIM tokens on the NIM mixnet to outstanding mix nodes. This is done to support the node operator community, of course, and to get you guys get you guys' nodes profitable quicker, and also to support the mixnet overall to incentivize the right kind of mix nodes. And then, of course, those delegations, just like if you delegate your own NIM tokens, generate staking rewards. In the case of 30 million NIM tokens, as you will find out, it's quite a substantial amount of NIM tokens. So basically, these staking rewards are what constitute the Squad Wealth Fund. And then the Squad Wealth Fund is used to support community initiatives and to help you guys bring privacy to everyone, everywhere. So this goes for both ninjas, nimsters, shinobis, and their squads. And this is visually. So I made the previous slide before I knew that this one existed. So this is a bit better explanation of the same thing, basically, for those of you who are more visual types. Also, you see the numbers here. So for season 0, we delegated 30.25 million NIM tokens to 121 mix nodes. And in total, we gathered 475,000 NIM tokens in revenue to the Squad Fund. Now, this is a pie chart of the payouts that we've made. So as you guys probably saw from the season 0 wrap-up post, even with the sort of testing the waters season that season 0 was, we already saw some spectacular contributions by the community. So big thanks for that to all of our squads and to all of our ninjas and shinobis who already contributed during season 0. And these are the payments that we made, totaling around 150,000 NIM. Now, notice the difference. Oh, damn it. They fixed my pie charts. Pablo fixed the pie charts I created. I wanted to make a joke about how awful my pie charts are, but I can't make that joke now. All right, so So thanks, Pablo, for that. By the way, I love you. So yeah, the season income was 457K, and as you can see, we spent about a third, actually exactly a third of that on community contributions, and then about 300K remains in the Squad Wealth Fund, which brings us to our next pie chart, which is the estimated size of the Squad Wealth Fund for season 1, which is going to be about 750K or so, coming from that aforementioned 300K that is leftover funds from season 0, and then also the estimated staking rewards during season 1. Now, of course, guys, these are just estimates, so we cannot be sure. This depends on network APY and a whole bunch of other factors, but this is where we estimate the Squad Wealth Fund to be by the end of season 1. All right, so that was all there is to about the Squad Wealth Fund. Now let's talk about season 1, the proper full. Sorry, go.
Can I just add something here, Sudo, for historical context? So I just want to give a big shout out to you, not only because it's your birthday today, but also because this is a huge achievement. Because exactly 1 year ago, if you look back, there was no such thing. There was individual applications, for certain grants, like on a very ad hoc basis. So compared to that we have an automated system where a wealth fund is generated from, community node delegations is just a fantastic thing that warms my heart. I just want to, thank you for all your hard work and work that you put into making this happen, and everyone else, of course. But this is headed by you, so super happy that we're here and doing this together.
Big thanks for that, Hux. I have to be honest, this is one of the biggest achievements I've ever been involved in my life. It's not only just Squad Wealth Fund, but NSL in general. So I'm super happy to finally see it kicking into next year, because I've been saying this for a while, but 2024 will be a huge year for the NIM community. And now maybe you see the kind of things that we've been building for you guys. All right, so after the dawn of the Ninja, now we head into the Gathering, which is the first official big proper full-blown launch or season of the Squad League. Now, the objectives of this season, these are objectives for both NIM, the project, and also, of course, the community at large. We're preparing for what we call the Eclipse, right? The Eclipse is going to be the full release of NIM VPN. And the 4 objectives are readying the NIM Mixnet for the launch of NIM VPN, and building new tools for the NIM ecosystem, testing NIM VPN with different audiences. So the testing that you guys already did in the form of workshops is continuing, although obviously with different releases of NIM VPN, the audiences and the types of events are going to be somewhat different, but it's still going to be an important task for the community. And of course, also growing and strengthening the NIM community, which is an ongoing objective. Now let's talk about the grants. So I'm not going to go through.
Should I?
Go ahead, Hux.
Yeah, should I go through it? So just to split the slides. Yeah. So the four very different grants and mission categories that you're going to be able to to browse individually and check out the individual actual missions. The first and foremost is around decentralized community management and moderation, because the first season brought super successful pilots, and basically all squads can apply for moderating a language-specific group coming in season 1. Now, the second group grant and mission category is the NIM Squad League co-design, management, and governance participation, because we want to be really loud and clear about this, that this is only going to work if we do it together with the community. And we really count on you guys helping us or to co-create, co-design the governance modules, participating in governance, and sort of just making it a collective exercise. The third sort of grant or mission category is building with NIM SDKs. Of course, if you have an app or dev idea or integration, you can apply for a dev grant up to 100,000 NIM and just make it happen with the SDK. Hey, Pablo, thanks for the nice graphics savings to those S with the charts.
Exactly. We love you, Pablo.
Yes. And then the fourth category is, of course, events. Now you can, it's not just about organizing events and meetups and NIM VPN testing workshops, but also if you're attending events and represent NIM, you can also apply for certain grants and missions. Do check these out on the Notion site, what will be published very, very soon. If it's not
exactly. So these are the task list for this season will look very familiar to you guys who already saw the task list for season 0. A bunch of things were added. One of the important thing, like Hux mentioned, is number 2 on this list here, which is designing, managing, and governing NSL together. This is a very important direction that we're taking in general. So increasingly, we want to involve the community in a whole bunch of things, and the most obvious place to start, of course, is NSL. So that's where we are starting, and more on that in a bit. Yes, and the task list will be shared with you guys after this call. I'm going to put out also a written format of this same information, and then in that you will have the link to the new task list. The submissions for ninjas, shinobis, and squads will open in the morning tomorrow. We need to edit the existing form to accept season 1 submissions or applications. Sorry. All right, now on to governance. This is also something important that is happening. So starting also from tomorrow, we're going to be inviting you guys to a new discourse event, or not event, but instance that we created. Now, the reason why this is important is because we're going to start moving towards, of course, decentralized governance via this discourse instance. So all of you guys, whether you're a Nimster or Ninja or Shinobi who provided their email address during sign up, will be invited to join our discourse instance via email, and then we're going to be voting about a whole bunch of things. Now, this is of course just a soft launch of governance, and it's also off chain. But this, baby steps. So this is how we're getting started. We're already looking into on chain solutions for on chain governance for various things. But this is how we're getting started. Now, the things that we're going to be voting about are mostly NSL related. So not only, more on that in a bit. So NSL related things that we're going to be voting about, stuff that you guys already know about. So promotions from one rank to the other, and also the types of questions that I've been asking our ninjas and shinobis in the private chat that we have. We're going to be putting those up for vote. Go ahead, Hux.
Yes. So if you're wondering why we are doing this move, it's very simple. How Sudo said, we need to practice, collective governance first and foremost, and instead of doing, occasional Telegram polls and random surveys with like just a specific group of people or in specific times, we're going to have a dedicated space where we can really put our heads together, and hopefully everybody who's invited going to be participating in all the votes, so we make the best collective decisions on all of these seemingly small things, but small things add up, and they're going to be really decisive in the long run if we learn how to decide together and how to reach consensus together via these first forum instance and maybe later some other tools too.
Yes, and before we allude to that long term that Hux just mentioned, you guys are aware that we also are starting a conversation about instituting a minimum profit margin for mixed node operators. This will be the first thing that node operators will vote about. Now, onboarding node operators will likely happen next week on Tuesday, because we're also going to be launching the next round of the delegations program, including a new tool for you guys to sign up and join the queue for delegations. Please make sure to join the DevRel AMA on Tuesday. We're going to be walking you guys through all of this stuff on Tuesday. But the first node operation related thing that we're going to be voting about is the minimum profit margin, and of course this is going to become increasingly a habit for both project and community for us to make decisions together. Now, the next step, so that longer term future that Hux mentioned, of course, when it comes to NSL, that's all I can talk about. The goal here, guys, just to spell it out, is for us, NSL participants, so ninjas and shinobis, to govern together the Squad Wealth Fund. So on-chain governance for the entire Squad Wealth Fund, including all the decisions when it comes to spending funds, when it comes to evaluating work that people did, how much reward that work should be getting. All of that stuff, ideally, in the future, will happen as a result of decentralized governance, which I think is, or at least I hope is as exciting for you guys as it is for me. Yes. All right, wait.
For me, it is.
Do we have this slide twice? Oh, yeah, okay. So that's all there is about governance. And now, of course, let's talk about Nimsters, because as you guys know, Season 0 was only run with our already existing core contributors who we invited to become Ninja and Shinobi. What we launched first was the grants program that is included within NSL. But with this season, we're also launching the nster level of NSL, which will become this whole game in and of itself. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what the nster role means, why you may want to join as a nster, and what you can expect to do and also get in return as a nster. So the nster role, as opposed to Ninja and Shinobi, which is invite only, anybody can join. Well, asterisk anybody. So we do some very basic Sybil protection. So we want to see that you are part of at least one of our community channels, and you have at least one pull-up from one of these events, such as community calls or any other NIM events. But basically anybody can join as a nster, right? And this is where NSL begins, and also where the involved part of the NIM community begins. So whether you want to just learn a little bit, contribute a little bit, and have some fun, maybe participate in some contests, or you want to become a full-blown Ninja contributor later on, this is where you start, right? Also, this is what I mentioned regarding the quizzes. This is why we're postponing this week's quiz. All of the activities that we now do with the NIM community, and also a whole bunch of other upcoming activities, are going to be Nimster only. So if you want to participate in the quizzes and raffles and contests and other stuff that's happening in the NIM community, please join as a Nimster. And all of this will be tied in together in the same system, which involves, of course, the same point and scoring system, and then of course a unified reward system for this whole thing. And like I said in the beginning, so point 4 is that if you want, you don't have to. If you just want to have some fun, that's also totally fine. But if you want to get promoted to become a Ninja, you can submit outstanding contributions, and this depends on the Ninja committee, but you may be invited to join as a Ninja as well. Anything I left out, Hux?
Yeah, just to again underline, no, super good summary, and thanks for going through this. I just want to emphasize again that this is the initial setup, what we thought that best to start with. But we do rely on your feedback and your active participation in shaping this program. So if something turns out that doesn't make sense in 2 months, we can put our heads together and start iterating it, with your feedback and your guidance too. So it's not like us telling you how it's going to be, it's us telling you how we think that it might be the best for now, and then we're really looking for your input and your all your support in iterating the program itself.
Exactly. Now I think there may be a little mix-up. Yeah,
With
okay,
some
so this
slides.
mix up in slides. So I'm gonna have to use anyways, mix in design, guys. Sorry for this, not sure what happened. But anyways, so how rewards work for Nimsters, I also wanted to go through this, right? So as you know, Ninja and Shinobi do missions and have access to a list of grants. Now, this is not true of Nimsters yet, right? So Nimsters, but also everybody else who's participating in NSL. So this is also true for all the Ninjas, all the Shinobis, can collect points going forward from this season. You can see how many points you can get for various things and tasks and challenges and all of that stuff in the task list. But the point is that over the season, you are collecting points. Now, obviously, you just need to do the tasks and contribute in your own way to the objectives shared, and just hang out in the community to gather points. You can also get multipliers if you get certain achievements. For example, if you get the NIMStar award, which we recently named with Ninjas, which is the outstanding community members who are very helpful, who we see all the time, very present in the community. That award goes for them, and it's going to be voted by Ninjas themselves, who get the NIMStar award. That gets you a 1.5x multiplier on your scores, and there are various other achievements which get you multipliers as well. But what's really critical to understand is that, as you can see, the maximum prize pool is going to be 200,000 NIM for season 1, but it's up to you how big the actual prize pool is going to be. So there are going to be critical missions, which are going to be time-limited missions, and they're going to be collective missions, and also individual missions. So if you complete the critical missions, not only do you get a ton of points, so these will be very important, but also depending on how the community does collectively, the prize pool will grow. And if we ace all of our critical missions and enough people are participating, we can push up the prize pool for season 1 for the Nimster game up to 200k nim. So stay very close to the nim channels. Keep your eyes out for the critical missions, because they are, as the name suggests, indeed critical. Exactly. Now, as for the end of the season, right? So one season lasts for 1 quarter. This season will end with the end of June, and the top 200 people on the leaderboard. So those who had the most points by the end of the season will share the entire prize pool, whatever it may be. Maybe 200k, maybe 100k, maybe less, depending on how you guys did collectively. Now, if you don't make it to the top 200, don't worry, because those who didn't make it to the top 200 can carry their points forward to the next season, and then you have a bit of an advantage to get into the top 200 next time. So, Hux, do you have any questions?
No, fantastic presentation. And I have to say that I'm in the presentation, the file, and it looks purple. And I see you in the purple presentation, but it's orange here. So it's not.
Maybe
Okay, let's Google ghost roaming around, in the
Okay.
So
maybe with a refresh, maybe that was the problem. Sorry, guys.
It got you see, it's very
yes. I'm sorry, Pablo.
Google ghost in the machine.
Pablo fixed everything, and yet I managed to butcher his work. It's excellent, true Sudo style.
But we do forgive you because it's your birthday, so we're not gonna hold it up against you. We're just gonna be like, okay, it's cool. But super good overview. I think we summarized super well. You summarized super well what's about to happen next. Maybe is anyone have any questions, or do you want to add something more, Sudo, to the?
Let's see if. Yep, that was it. So this is the gist of it, guys. We're launching season 1, which will involve a whole bunch more people than just Ninja and Shinobi. So we're excited to see where this takes us. Please do check out the task list, and in general, just keep a close eye on our community channels, because it's only getting faster and faster from here.
And because one very important part is to collect POAPs, because that's also a single competition, right? Who has the most avid POAP collectors? Did we prepare maybe something for today?
Wait, actually, do I spoil? Do I give people an alpha or no? Do I do that?
I mean, you gave so much alpha. You can keep some alpha for later on the channels. I don't know. Depends on you.
Should I just say once again that very soon POAPs are going to be very important, or how do I?
I just did say that, so you can also say yeah. So POAP's going to be really important, but mind that you're competing with people like me, who's also avid POAP collectors. So there's a fierce competition.
Hux joined the core team, guys. He's not competing anymore. He's lying to you. Don't believe a word that he's saying. Okay.
On the vanity competition, I have my POAPs. I'm going to collect the POAP for this too.
Okay. All right. Vanity-wise, he's competing, but not otherwise. Anyways, guys. Okay. So all I'm going to say once again, which I already mentioned, POAPs are going to be incredibly important, especially those that you collected over a long period of time, are going to become very important in the very near future. But for the rest of the season going forward, you will see on the task list that just collecting POAPs is a task in and of itself. So with that, you guys are incentivized to hang out with us. I guess it's not that nice to hang out with Hux, but I'm pretty cool, so I'm always here.
For it, so it's okay, like 50-50. Like you have to.
Exactly. All right, folks. Hopefully that gets you excited about season 1. Be on the lookout for that post I'm going to be sharing in writing later on. And yeah, if you have any questions, please do share, because any questions about the task list or the application process or whatever it may be, or as a Nimster, how you can get started, or maybe the application process, feel free to leave it on any of our community channels. So that's Telegram, Discord, Element, any of them. We're keeping an eye. And yeah, let's get this started.
Excellent. Do we have a POAP for today or not?
We do.
Nice.
We do have a POAP indeed. Wait, I always provide the secret phrase and I always forget what it is. How do I do that?
Where can I claim it?
All right, so you need to go to you need to go to nimtech.net/go/POAP as usual. A link to it will be shared in the chat. And the secret phrase is the gathering, all in one word, not capitalized, because we're headed into this new season, which is called The Gathering.
Thanks for the fantastic hosting, Sudo. Thanks everyone for joining this community call. It has been amazing. Thanks for the questions and for your presence. See you next week.
See you next week, guys.
Ciao.